Okay, here's Springer. Here's the gloat session. How much I love this guy. He is wonderful. He's everything the Blitzwing could have been if they gave the designer like another week, or they just used the correct plastics. Don't think there's any soft plastic on him. I'm trying to think. So pretty much all hard plastic. So why couldn't they make the Blitzwing out of the harder plastic? I mean, he's got articulation everywhere. Head, joints, everything. He is marvelous. If you're not familiar, he's another triple changer. So he has 3 modes. Gun. This part's pretty badass. And sword. Pull apart and separate. Now I thought this was pretty ingenious. This actually clicks in. So, Helio chopper blade. This also is supposed to stick underneath the for car mode. I hate it for that. I hate doing that. So, but I usually keep them in bot mode, so it doesn't matter. Best part about Springer, easily, is that he's even got waist joints, like clicking, click, click, click. You can put him in like any pose, and he pretty much stays in it as long as you. Like, I didn't even try. He is perfect. Aside from ankle tilts, which I really am not that crazy over. It seems to be a big issue with people these days. He's awesome. Just get him. Shut up. I can't understand how someone could bitch about an almost perfect figure like this. Like, if they'd have made this out of metal, it'd have been like $100. Stop. Okay. And I apologize ahead of time for my horrible transformation skills here. I tend to look at the figure, not at the camera. And that's why I don't do these that often. But I absolutely had to for 2 reasons on this, just so people would A, know that Springer is awesome, and to buy him, and to avoid Blitzwing if at all possible. This part's kind of annoying, because his head always tends to pop off. There, I got it. Amazingly. I think my favorite part about both Blitzwing and Springer, though, is that you never know what you're actually transforming him into until you just decide. I don't know where. Like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. This is helicopter mode. Weird. Pure genius. Whoever designed this toy. Just, there's got to be an award or something. Not so much for being able to copy the original Generation 1 specs, you know, and have him transform a little better. It's actually because the little things that he does makes it so much worth it. Alright. Like this. They didn't need to do that. This little piece could have just easily tucked in somewhere else and he would have had a fatter body. But they went through, and whoever designed this either has a love for this character or a love for their job in general. And needs to be promoted. Alright. Landing gear down, which totally wasn't expecting. Okay. I think I did that right. And yes, he will be repainted. Some people hate repaints. But this is almost a complete remold of this into Sandstorm. I'm almost more... I think I legitimately am more excited for Sandstorm than I am Springer. I mean, he's cool and everything, but Sandstorm was almost the same thing. Instead of being a helicopter, he was one of those fat carrier copters instead of these lighter ones. And I'm gonna do that. The gun fits under here. and helicopter mode. I forgot about that. This kind of is annoying because I'm sure this is going to break one day and not work. It clips in there and then you gotta pop it back out. So then for car mode, flip these over. And it's like a Cybertronian car, so it doesn't actually have to look like a real vehicle, which kind of plays to how well it works. It's a Cybertronian gas guzzler, because that's what it looks like, this huge front end. Cars aren't made like that anymore. You can tell I've taken a little more time playing with this guy. This is the only wonky part on him. It's when you go to transform this part. So I like to do this first. Get the spoiler set up. The sword is supposed to clip in under here. It doesn't really do it very well. I just don't bother with it. But this front windshield's supposed to click in there. And if you don't have everything lined up underneath, you see how his head's there? Kind of got to push these yellow pieces under his head, and it fits almost perfectly, which is kind of hard to tell when you're just doing it normally. Then I squeeze these two and hold it until I get this popped underneath here. This is the only annoying part of it, is the car mode, but it doesn't really suffer too much for it. But if you don't hold those two in there, you end up putting it somewhere it doesn't belong and then hating the way it looks later. And there he is. He's got his spoilers and everything. This can go up here. It actually shoots pretty good for being just for pressure fit. Dealt with a lot of pressure fit stuff lately that is terrible. But there he is. That is the awesomeness of Springer. I was like, pick him up. It's like 20 to 30 bucks depending on where you go. Well worth it, regardless. Peace out, guys.